us. Thank you so much for coming to another day of the panel. If you are interested at all in joining our Slack group or signing up for our email page, I'm going to post in the chat right now. We're going to wait maybe 1 or 2 minutes before we get formally started with everything, but feel free to ask questions to our panelists in the chat now, post in the Q&A section and upvote your favorite questions. And then we're also going to be submitting some polls throughout the conversation. But yeah, we'll wait 1 or 2 minutes or so.
Janae's calling in now, so we'll give her a second.
She's right there.
I think she's here. Janae, can you hear us?
Janae.
Oh.
Hey, Fuzz, you chatting?
Yeah, I just said what's up to somebody that said what's up to me.
The only thing with chatting, man, you gotta hit him with one of these and read. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit.
Hey, Joe, can you hear us? I can hear, I can't hear you, bud, just so you know.
Yo, Troy, everybody's roasting my hair, texting me right now.
You're getting the side text right now.
Hey, Janae, can you hear us?
It gets real for everybody out here right now.
Oh no, she has no audio.
Yeah, for Janae and Joe, it doesn't look like the audio is coming through for both of y'all.
Yeah, just give yourself a scissor cut, man. Take it old school. You got that good hair.
I think you're on mute, Ant.
I said, I'm gonna just let it go and see where it goes when this shit all open back up.
And you're Rick Rubin right now.
Hey, Joe, is your audio coming through? Can you hear us? Okay. Cool.
Yo, Joe, can you hear us yet? We can't hear you, Joe. We can't hear you. Bottom left.
Yeah, next to the mute button, there's an arrow. And you could change your mic.
Yeah, all right, I got it. I'm on. Can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
Sure can. There it is.
No, that was me.
Oh, dang, my bad. I didn't see y'all fooling me? God damn.
You know, they're like, we done got the wrong one up in here.
I still can't hear Joe.
No, you can't.
Oh, he's on his phone.
I realized that there's a way to see everyone all at once. I didn't see everyone that was here. I was only seeing like 4 people at a time. What's up, everybody? Everyone I missed, my bad.
Yeah, if you want to switch any views, it's going to be to the top right next to the speaker view, just gallery view. Super easy.
I'm late as fuck.
All good.
Teaching me all kind of shit about Zoom today.
And yeah, if you want to chat with people, you have to make sure to mark that you're chatting with all panelists and attendees, as opposed to your message just going to the panelists.
Oh, 10-4.
Thank you as always, Suzy. Troy, Jay, do we want to hold tight for a bit, or I can kick it off?
You are.
Good to go on our end.
Perfect. Okay. We're going to be waiting for audience and panelists, actually. We're going to be waiting for a few more people to come in. There's going to be quite a full bunch today as far as our lineup goes. But first off, thank you everyone for joining. It's been a really lovely week and really humbling for the Q&A team and I to just read all your messages and just continue to be inspired. And today we have quite the lineup for you of wonderful individuals who offer their time to just try to be in community together. Per rules, I'm going to post in the chat all the audience rules, so please abide by them. We kindly ask that only love in that chat alone. If you're interested in signing up for our Slack group or our email list, link is also there as well. Our last 20 minutes of the chat, we're gonna post, we're gonna go through Q&A section and things like that. So please post your questions in the Q&A section and upvote your favorite questions. For panelists, if you're not speaking, try to mute. And then we're good to go. So Troy and Jay, I hand it over to you guys. Welcome to the LA edition of the panel.
I don't know how to. Janae.
Oh, we got Janae just joined too before we get started, Joe.
What's up, Janae?
What's up, Janae?
What's up? This is very confusing. I think I got it now, though.
You good?
The laptop is easier. The laptop, you can see everybody. But
Oh, well, Brian, my laptop is upstairs. So.
all right, now you good.
Troy, you want to jump in?
Yeah, you know what? We got one. Just welcome back to everybody out in the audience. This City Edition week has been crazy. We've had Miami, we've had Atlanta. Today we got LA, and end of the week we got Philly. But you know, this LA group really showed up for us today, and it's an incredible group. A lot of people we know for a while, and who we got a lot of love and respect for. We got newbies, we got OGs in here as well. And I'm gonna turn it over to Ryan and Jay to get us started.
Yeah, so just to kind of piggyback what Troy said, we've been doing this for the last couple of weeks. The feedback has been amazing. It's just really a general, it started kind of like as a general health check for our community and our friends and our network and folks that we are used to, building with and being around on a daily, and figuring out a way that we could still communicate, find ways to support each other during this time, and also keep this network strong so we can continue to build when we come out of this. I think one of the things that we wanted to make clear as we are going into and doing the City Edition is we're in no way trying to tell the LA story, right? Like me, Ryan, and Troy, we're Philly guys, and we're not in no way trying to tell, the LA story, which is why you guys are here. We wanted to lend the platform that we've been able to build to kind of generate some conversation around the LA community. And Big has been so gracious in taking on some additional work for us and helping lead the conversation as one of the more predominant voices in LA. So we'll definitely chime in and help try to move the conversation forward and have some questions here or there, but definitely wanted to have the narrative be really LA. And Big, like I said, was gracious enough to agree to help lead the conversation.
And then Anthony Saleh is going to give us some Black History Month history on today too.
But just real quick, man, first off, want to say welcome to everybody that's on the panel as well, man, and to everybody that's kind of chiming in with us. The same way that certain things been, going across the world, we've been having that effect right here in Los Angeles as well, man. There's a lot of people that even on this panel that, we had to sit down, lives have been changed. We've never been in this position before. And I think what's going on with LA, man, is I'm seeing a lot more, hopefully a lot more camaraderie, and I think we're seeing that across the world where you're starting to see people, we keeping that social distance, but, if you're out and you about, you smiling a little bit, you waving at people a little bit more. I think it's taking, I think it's putting us in a position, man, where we starting to appreciate what we have even more so. And I think what we're starting to appreciate even more so is what we thought we were used to and not being able to do those things again. There's been people on this panel that I've went to go see in shows. You know what I'm saying? There's people on this panel that's come to the neighborhood and done interviews, and I think we're just definitely a different place right now. But one thing I love about LA is that we're kind of looking out for each other. We're seeing a lot of different programs that's going on out here, man. We're feeding our communities, we're feeding our, our frontline people, our as far as making sure that our elderly get into the stores first, and just really being a little bit more kind to each other, man. And I think that this is one of those things that LA will come out of this a lot more stronger, because we realize it doesn't matter what kind of skin you in, it doesn't matter your tax bracket. This is hitting everybody. And more so with Los Angeles, there's a lot of staples in the city, no pun intended, Vince, but there's a lot of staples in the city that, you go now and things look like a ghost town. The things that you were so used to going to see are either closed, totally different. And we're wondering if some of those spots will come back as well, man. And we've been trying to make sure that in Los Angeles, and especially with the show that I do, is, you know, we're shouting out those smaller businesses as well, those places that's still open. You know, there's some of us on here that's not worried about what we're going to eat tonight. There's some people that's worried about what they're going to eat to now. You know what I'm saying? Not even tonight, like to now, like right now. So I just kind of wanted to just open up, and if anybody want to jump in, what y'all feel about what we're doing in Los Angeles.
Why don't you chime in, Ant?
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I haven't been out the house much, but for the few times that I have been out the house, it has been really refreshing to see people. Like, I was walking down the street and I saw this really young kid flying down the street with a scooter, and he was walking up on this old couple, and like he stopped, he slowed down, he went around them, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I feel like I didn't see that as much before, and just, you know, honestly checking in, like a good friend of mine, Jenya Meggs, she worked at Def Jam years ago, and she's a neighbor of mine, and she would hit me up like, do you need any food? Are you good? You need anything? People hitting me up like, yo, I just dropped off stuff on your doorstep. Like, I mean, obviously my friends have always been good to me, but like, you know, it's just like super cool to see people go the extra mile. And it's even people that I know, but I don't talk to even once a year. You know what I'm saying? So it's been a real good, comforting, you know, sign.
YG just joined too. What's up, YG?
I think he's on mute, Jay.
Uh-oh.
Big one us. He was trying to figure out how to use this shit.
Yeah. YG, you good?
Bottom left.
Yeah, I think he's muted.
Hey man, just on the artist side, from the people that's on the panel, man, what does it feel like for people that either had to postpone some shows, some, you know, not getting into the studio like you want to? You know, I know that a lot of you are very, you know, person friendly. Like, what has that been, not being able to also go out and spend your time with Los Angeles or with the world? Janae?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, I was hoping you didn't pick me. I'm just kidding. How has it been? I mean, I don't know. I'm a little introverted, I guess. So for me, this is kind of normal. I planned on having like a little break before I went on tour, but obviously now the tour is, I don't know when it's going to be. So I think it's just been important to still stay in contact with my fans through social media.
Yeah, we've been real clever on that now, huh? The way that we have to communicate, it's been a whole different way. And Eric Bellinger, I know you've been communicating very differently, and challenges and all kinds of stuff. You still on?
Yep. Yeah, man. Can you hear me? Yeah, no, it's been cool, man. Just adapting, you know, it's just a you know, change in the industry. You know, it always changes, and you know, this time in particular, it's unfortunate with the circumstances, of course. But I think, you know, us artists, like, that's just, you know, how it goes. It's in our nature to have to adapt to the different climates.
I think it's even different on the artist side, or speaking from a label side, is forcing the labels to get more creative with the artists. Like, hats off to what Drake did. It was a stunt on his house. He shot a video, but even with Kalani, like, it's forcing the artists to kind of be on their own and kind of take matters in their own hand and get more creative, even with videos or even TikTok or whatever the case, whatever social media they're using.
But I think it's forcing us to be creative, you know, because a month ago we all wouldn't have been here. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the connection that we have right here from, you know, I've never seen, you know, I've known Fuzz for you know, damn near 30 years. You know, for us, you ain't never let me in your house. I don't know I've never seen the back of your house like this. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it's forcing us to be a little bit different and a little bit more creative and having a so-called think outside, not just the box, but outside the blocks. You know what I'm saying?
But like, you know, honestly, yeah, but like let's take like the creative stuff and put it to the side for a second. Like at the end of the day, like we're all human beings too, right? Mm-hmm. And for artists specifically, like I think every artist is getting a taste of what it feels like to be finished. Like what it feels like for the phones to stop ringing and the money to not be coming in. Like this is what it feels like when it's over. And like and all the lessons I think artists learn when they're like greater days are behind them, I think some of these artists who are at their peak or who are still growing have an opportunity to learn those lessons now, which would better set them up for the future. And I think like, forget the creative stuff and, oh, how do I do this and fuck that. Like really think about like as a human, like, do I need that chain? Do I need all these cars? Do I need to do shit this way, that way? Like think about things that are gonna materially change yourself for the rest of your life. And that's how I think people should be thinking about this.
Yeah, for sure. Can I jump in? Am I in there? Yeah. I think that for me, like I said, it's not really that much of a change of pace because I used to make jokes all the time. Like, how could I do everything from home? Because I'm such a homebody that I record at home. I try to do everything I can from my bedroom anyway. So for me, I was like, okay, this is, an easy adaptation. And I think I've been pretty comfortable with everything that's going on. So it's a good change of pace, I think, for people to sit down and reflect. And like Anthony was saying, just really think about what is really important.
Hey, Miguel, are you getting dressed every day? Are you preserving your sexy, or what happens with Miguel? Because I look like this all the time anyway. You know what I'm saying? What does Miguel do on the daily, and what's the Miguel plan when we so-called come out of this?
The crazy thing is that all of this has been, first and foremost, that's why I just grew locks, because I was like, I'm good, so I could just go ahead and just let it go. But I think it's probably been super important for me to like just have like a routine to stay just to keep my mind right. But to be honest with you, like in the same way that Janae is like really comfortable just being home, I mean, I've been social distancing my whole life, to be honest with you, like, and it's necessarily, it's probably because of the craft, like in just being all the way locked in on just trying to figure my way out, coming from here and coming from where I come from, it wasn't like we had necessarily all the resources. So this just kind of like brings us back to like what really matters. And in the same way that Janae said, I think it's been really helpful to reflect on, what's important, and that ends up becoming the people you care for most, the things that you want to create the most, what you believe in, what's worth doing and spending your time on, things that I want to learn, things that inspire me, because I go through like these like sort of like oscillations, where I wake up some days and I'm good. I'm like, I feel great. I feel like I can be productive. I could write a song. I could do all kinds of things. And then other days I don't want to do shit. And I just want to play video games and smoke weed. And thank goodness we live in LA and all of that is legal. We be all doing it anyway. But, it's one of those things where we just take it one day at a time. Yeah. That's why I think being on here with you guys is real cool, because, otherwise it could be easy to just be tunnel vision and be at the crib.
How does anyone see LA coming out of this? What do y'all think LA will learn from this COVID-19, this quarantine?
I mean, for me, driving around the city and going from hood to hood and area to area, I think it's going to be turned up. But I think it's going to give like different artists an opportunity for them to respect us more. Like, you know what I mean, promoters and just, you know, different people to respect the true artists of the city. You know what I mean? That's really from here and you know, give every day to the city. You know what I mean? So it's like a different path for different people. Like I ride through LA every day, you know, with my mask on, and you know, I don't jump out on people no more because, you know, but before that, I was going from hood to hood and just, you know, just giving the love back to the city. You know what I mean? So it's really like, it's a different vibe for me, and having a football chapter and seeing my football team, my kids every day, usually 10, 15 kids at my house, working out with them, playing, you know what I mean? It's just a different vibe for everybody. Like I'm used to riding around and jumping out, you know what I mean, hanging at the liquor stores with everybody, and you know what I mean? So this is kind of different for me, going from Sam's and just, you know, different places, and you know what I mean, and all the strip clubs. Now it's like we in the house 24/7.
Hey Joe, do you think that it helps the city, like once we get out, and I'm talking about like everything, black, white, brown, you know what I'm saying, everything in between. Like I think now, man, it's also a common denominator for so many of us, man. You know, like whatever people was tripping off of, I don't think that we're gonna trip on that as much. You know what I'm saying? If you're tripping at all, you know what I mean?
That's and that can be a great thing. So, you know, like the toll of like just being where I come from on gangs, like it didn't calm down a lot, and that's a blessing. You know what I mean? You don't have to wake up and hear one of your friends then got killed or something like that. So I mean, this couple of weeks, couple of months has been it's been like, you know, boring, but it's been also a good thing on both sides too. You know what I mean? To just have that also.
Has anyone thought about how we can't come out of this the same way we went in? You know what I'm saying? Like with me, man, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, all right, I gotta read these books. I gotta learn how to edit videos and all kind of shit. None of the stuff I'm doing. I'm just saying mentally, I'm talking to myself. But does anyone feel like, yeah, man, we can't come out of this the same way that we went in? And what are y'all doing that's so-called a little bit different, or without revealing your plan, how do you plan come out of this?
I think we've probably been closer with our families than out of this, or even with our coworkers. Like that conversation with coworkers is different. I know at Motown's, like our Zooms are a little bit more, how you doing, or like really care. Or even with the families, that like we're talking to one of my homeboys, and he was like, this is the most I've ever spent with my kids in the house, because he's usually at work. So now he's staying 12, 13 hours at a time with his kids, and it's between family. Like, I think that's the most important thing. I know my conversation with my mother is different. You know what I'm saying? Like, making sure she good. You know, she was trying to go to church for them. I'm like, nah. Like,
Fuzzy, 20 years ago when they told her not to go to church, you didn't backslide. I'll call you on that. You know, I'll call you with that. Anyone got the plan for when they get out of here? Like what you working on right now?
Non-stop, I guess. Non-stop. I want to shoot a video 5 times a day. You know what I mean? To just have something to understand. You know what I mean? For on our downtime. If something ever like this happen again, we got a lot of content, and you know what I mean, and be able to still make money the way, you know what I mean. So a lot of content, just going in and having a plan, getting with your team, and just having a big content. You know what I mean? A lot of content.
This definitely puts you in that Pac mentality, man, to have and not need, and need and not have, and over flood, you know, with quantity and quality. You know, YG, you up yet?
That don't look like YG.
YG, you good?
Oh, there you go.
You on mute.
Hey.
There you go.
Yo,
400, what's up with you, bro?
Hey, y'all can see me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. What's poppin'? How y'all doing?
Man, we good, man. How's everything been going with you, bro?
We good.
House going crazy, nigga. I ain't never been in the house this long with these kids, man.
Hey, man, I was telling everybody, YG, I was in on your live when you couldn't figure out how to bring people in.
Oh, yeah.
And you kept flipping it over to your charger, and you kept bringing your eye close into the shot. Have you figured out how to work that yet?
Yeah, no, I figured it out. You know, I figured it out. Hey, but look, man, what's really going on out here? Man, they keep talking about this coronavirus. It's really this 5G shit, though.
Hey,
like,
man,
why y'all ain't talking about that?
I wanted to ask you about that, YG, because I've seen that
just
you've been
literally
active on
about to
that,
do
man,
it.
with the towers and what they talking about 5G. And have you heard of anything in Los Angeles? I saw a picture where they were like, man, they put us on shutdown.
So look, so hey, look, peep game, right? You feel me? I've been hearing about so why I believe it's the 5G shit is because I was hearing about it like last year, like October, right? So boom, I heard about it, and then you feel me? They like, yeah, it's bad for humans. You know, it's gonna cause a lot of people to get sick. People gonna die, all this type of shit. So I'm like, damn. And then when this thing happened, and you feel me? I started like paying attention and doing my homework, and some of my good peoples who be like, whoa, you know, they send me some stuff like, hey, this that 5G stuff, right? So I'm like, damn, for real? So I go do my homework. So I'm looking at all these YouTube clips. I'm looking at all type of stuff. I'm remembering stuff from back in the day. So boom, March 31st, I go, you feel me? I go see Nip. I leave, you feel me? I leave where he at, and we go to Crenshaw and Slauson. So I'm on the freeway, and I'm talking to my homegirl. We talking about the 5G shit. You feel me? I'm on a 405 going towards Santa Monica, Los Angeles, Slauson area. You feel me? On the side of the freeway, you feel me? Some workers putting up a 5G tower, you know? So I'm like, oh yeah, you feel me? This shit real. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? They telling us to stay in the house, stay in the house, stay in the house, because, you know, they out here putting up these towers, and the towers is really what's causing people to get sick. Because if you do your homework, you feel me, the side effects of the 5G, like it causes flu-type symptoms, and then it causes cancer, and it causes all type of shit. But they trying to cover it up with this coronavirus. But you know, that ain't the real shit. So I think what I do, you feel me? I tell all my people, I tell my little ones, my family, I put them on game. Like, look, you feel me? They send all this coronavirus shit, but like I don't believe that. So I'm about to send you what I see you. Y'all do your homework. Y'all read up on it, and do everything you can to like protect your body from this radiation, because you know that's what's really going on. You feel me? They gonna create the vaccine. You feel me? Bill Gates is the nigga that created the who supposed to be creating the vaccine for you feel me, for the coronavirus shit. And it's like, you feel me? I keep hearing about this chip, and then it's like, okay, if Bill Gates created the vaccine, then I believe it's really gonna be a motherfucking chip in that motherfucker, you know? Mm-hmm. So my thing is like really trying to tell the people,
I'm not taking no vaccines. I just was having this conversation with my wife. Like, have you guys heard of this Miguel? Have you heard of them administering this? What up, bro? Have you heard of them administering this vaccine like throughout the world? They're working on it. They've been working on it. They probably had this shit already.
But you know
that's crazy. We're all here in LA, and we're still thinking about how this is gonna affect the world. And I think to answer your question early that you asked, Big, like I think as artists, I know as far as I go, I'm thinking about how this changes the world, because it's not gonna be the same.
Yeah, man.
It's not gonna be the same from now on. Nothing will be the same.
The social gatherings, the handshakes, the coughing and people not saying God bless you anymore. You know what I'm saying? We're definitely going to come out of this very, very different than what we went in, bro. You know what I'm saying? We'll come out, I think, feeling a little bit more for humanity, but also, man, there's going to be a lot of things that, like, in this last, either 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever we have ahead of us, it's going to burn into your psyche about how you move on from here on. And I think still it's going to take a long time before we really congregate and before we come together in concert. And it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. And speaking with YG and how you guys are talking about the vaccine as well, like, do you take the vaccine? Do you do something? And then anything that's coming is going to be first round. And anything that's coming that's first round that's supposed to so-called save you from the COVID-19 first round, we don't know what first round of putting anything into your body is, bro. You know what I'm saying? In 5-10 years down the line, it could be something that could take us out then. So it's like you going minute by minute sometimes, man. And even with YG speaking on it, you gotta subscribe to pretty much everything. People are also conspiracy. You gotta subscribe to that. Oh, we overthinking. All right, I gotta subscribe to that. Oh, it's not that big. Okay, I'll subscribe to that. Oh, it's big. Oh, I'll subscribe to that. It's like a buffet as opposed to an entree. You gotta take, what you can from each thing, and because for one, everybody's so-called learning on the job. We don't know what this is right now. You know what I'm saying? We don't know exactly what this is. They, last month they told you one thing, and this month they're telling us something totally different. You know what I'm saying? But I think that it's up to us to stay in that pool of knowledge and stay, and stay connected like this, where it's a each one teach one. You know what I'm saying?
I think from a personal standpoint, I'm super excited for things to start opening back up. And I think everyone will do their part in being responsible about it. And I think it will be a gradual kind of increase in people coming back together and whatnot. That's me personally. Professionally, I'm terrified. And if anyone thinks they have it figured out, I'm calling bullshit, because I really think, especially as an artist, I think there are going to be drastic cuts to the touring business that I don't think people realize. I really think promoters are going to turn into the cartel. They're going to try to fix prices, lock them up, and literally pick artists based on what slot they fit in. And because every single artist in the world, what are they going to do? They're going to try to run on the road. And I think there are some who can afford to stay back. There are some who may have no choice but to get back into the streets as soon as possible. And I really think, in hip hop specifically, it's so crazy how competitive we are, to the point where we try to always one-up each other and try to get the best of each other and show each other out and whatnot. And in a lot of ways, the business does that to us. But I think when things really start to open back up, the hip-hop community is really going to have to figure out a way to stick together to ensure that they're still able to generate the income, or at least close to what they were generating before this all happened. And I really am hopeful that folks do come together at this time, because I'm telling you now, if you don't think AG and Live Nation are having conversations about how to do no guarantee door deals and things like that, that shit is happening. And they're gonna stick that shit on all of us, and no one's gonna be immune to it.
How do we start pulling folks together? And what would you suggest is some things that we could do to pull together?
That's a great question. I admittedly have always talked to folks about finding a way to connect folks, but it always seemed as though there was some posturing going on, or folks trying to figure out who's doing what or who has what. And I think this moment right now has kind of, it neutralized everybody. It unarmed us. And I think it allowed us. I've been more vulnerable with people that I used to hold my cards close to the chest with than I've ever been, because it's yo, I don't have the answer. Do you? Maybe the both of us can talk through our problems together and figure it out. And I think it's about conversation. I think it's leave your ego at the door and really having open conversations. Yo, how much money you guys get a show? You get that a show? All right, cool. If we all make this, we need to hold tight on our price. If Rolling Loud wants to book us,
you have all of the talent agencies that are speaking to each other right now. You got the promoters that are speaking to each other right now. The reality is live touring won't come back until 2022. And when you look at exactly what you said about Live Nation and AG pulling back on all of their deals right now. When are people actually going to feel comfortable being in rooms with a whole arena full of people again? And then if you're over 65, you're not going to a Grateful Dead or Eagle show, compromising your immune system. So when you think about legacy acts, it's going to kill the legacy act business for a long time. So I think we got to strategize to figure out sort of what's next.
And the other thing too is it's a double-edged sword, because number one, they're going to be afraid of how many tickets they can sell. So that's one problem. So then there's a pricing issue, which drops your guarantee. Then there's a capacity issue. If you think the Palladium's going to let 4,000 people in that room for the next 5 years, it's not going to happen. These caps are going to get cut in half. They're not putting 18,000 seats in arenas. It's going to be more like 11,000, and it's a trickle down effect. And I think people have to really think this through.
Hey, Vince Staples, man, with the person that you stay on the road at your leisure, you know what I'm saying? You're also a brand and you kind of book your own situation. What does that look like for you in the coming, months, the coming years? Like, have you sat down and gave any thought to that, Vince?
I mean, to be honest, how you doing, by the way, everybody?
Hello there, Vince Staples.
Shit, I mean, it's just funny because it's like, I don't really know why y'all be asking us these questions like we got to say so. Like, we ain't the ones going to pop our ass for these old niggas in these office buildings and corporations and shit, making them pick the venues. Y'all make niggas pick between AUG and Live Nation. Y'all pick everybody's slots. The booking agents barter their artists against each other, so half the line up on this stage is WME had. It ain't up to us. That's up to y'all. We got to just make this money and figure it out. We don't got no say-so or no power. Niggas only got their publishing. So y'all need to talk to the people who don't need the money, because what y'all make us do is y'all make us fight over the money. And then when we fight over the money, we start to not like each other and some other shit like that. And then, it ain't up to us. We rappers and singers and black people. So we don't get to pick. Y'all got to talk to them. We don't even get the headline slot. They make Cardi B play before. I don't know, some old niggas that's about to die on every single festival. We don't ever get the top slot. It's like, you got some niggas nobody really know that got a guitar and, a big screen, and then it's the one that everybody knows. So we don't really get to pick. It ain't really, it ain't up to us. We got to figure this out as it go. Like, don't nobody care about what we got going on except
Yo, Moses, Bellinger, do y'all feel powerless?
Nah, I feel more empowered. I honestly feel like this is a great opportunity to force creativity, and as artists and even as humans in every job field, I feel like it's something, to be figured out. At the end of the day, it's so many different job tasks being affected so differently. For one business owner, this could be the best thing that's happened to them. And for another job, it could be the absolute downfall to their entire business, and they could be homeless next month. So it's just interesting to see the different lanes and the different way it's affecting people, so I definitely feel like the people that are like considered like higher ups, or the people that have more than, it's up to those type of people to try to help, in whatever way it could be done. But I think that's the question. Like, okay, now what do we do? Because I have driven around and there's still homeless people on the street in tents. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what do we do?
I think that's part of the point in the conversation, right? Because I get what Vince was saying, but I feel like a lot of the power does sit with the artists and with us as managers and executives in the business. I think that I'd love to move the dialogue towards figuring out a goalpost for all of us, and what are we working towards? How do we stick together and get tighter during this time, so that when we're coming out of it, we have similar leverage that the Live Nations, AEGs, promoters, etc. have. Like, how do we really, what's the goal for us? How do we move towards resolution?
I think some of the major artists, as far as like in the city, like the biggest artists like Jizzle, Vince Staple, Janae, Eric, Tiger, I think they need to get with a lot of these young artists that start was just on the verge of taking off, and figure out some plans with some of these new cats and these new dudes, and just figure it out, like, as far as taking them on the road. You know what I mean? Like what Vince was saying, there's a lot of truth. Like, a lot of artists don't get to pick who they go on the road with. You know what I mean? It's whoever can really sell tickets at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So they might put you with somebody you don't even know versus somebody that you need to truly help or trying to help. You know what I mean? So I can understand it on both sides.
But I think
what y'all saying is true, because when I asked them, could I bring Buddy on the road, they said no. And I had to push for that. And when I asked them, could I bring Audio Push on the road, they said no. I had to push for that. When I tried to give Rucci a free verse, they tried to take it offline. When I tried to give, when I gave TF from Trouble a free verse, they took it offline. We can't pretend that, we give artists the power. We can't pretend that we really pushing for creativity. Like, that's just not true. It sounds good, but it's like, we gonna really sit here and pretend that, we push the most creative artists to the forefront. We can't sit here and lie and say that shit, man. The truth is, when people stop taking in big bags and stop being thirsty for attention, and Black people and urban people sit together and decide to cut their paper short to help one another, then we'll be straight. Without that, then they gonna give somebody, or they gonna give some nigga a big old check, and they gonna get other nigga the little nigga check, and then we just gonna be fighting for the scraps like everybody else. But I feel y'all, but like Joe said, niggas need to give people verses and features and videos and all that. Like, it ain't no reason to sit here and be kumbaya.
I agree. I feel your perspective, but I really think folks being forced to sit down at this time is the great equalizer. And I think, like, normally I would agree with you, but like where the shit is headed right now, I think it's gonna humble people. I think you'll see more artists give younger artists verses. I'm already kind of seeing it. Folks that would want to charge are like, nah, it's cool. You know what I mean? I'm already kind of seeing that happening. So I think, like, over time, like, although historically I would agree with you, Vince, I think right now, because everyone's feeling that pain, like, it's a moment where there can be change. This is the moment to not give up on hope and say, oh, no, that's just how it goes. Nah, that's how it used to go. But now, nah, it's a different day, because it really is a different day. Everybody's on the ropes.
But I think this is a time to be coming together and thinking, all right, so if the big venues we can't do that, you need a team up with Amazon or Netflix, and you do a virtual tour, you do something live stream there or YouTube, and you start thinking that route until they start opening up the venues or something like that. I think that's where the wave's going to be at.
And I think it's definitely forced you to think different. You know what I'm saying? You see Mariah Carey doing a concert from her couch. You know what I'm saying? You seeing Tiger with Curtis Roach, doing Bored in the House. That just seeing people how they reached out. You know what I'm saying? I think that if Troy is saying, like, man, we probably may not see something till 2022, then it's about what we do now. Who would have thought that Tory Lanez would have had the biggest IG story with 350,000 people checking in? That's a different lane for Tory as well. You know what I'm saying? That he never thought going into 2020, this is the shit that I'm going to do. But
Big, what you got to understand, Biggie, I feel you, but that's free. So they're not going to pay Tory for that. They're not going to pay nobody. When it's time to get paid,
Tory got 350,000 free. I want you to live stream on Instagram for free. We put our music out for free.
But Tory had 350,000 people on his live stream, right? He's sitting there and he's drinking. He told me that Diddy said, hey, I need you to drink the rock, right? He said he thought that he was going to get to his house in 2 weeks. He said an hour later, motherfuckers was knocking on his door, giving him Ciroc and other liquor companies. I said, hey, man, Diddy know what the fuck he doing by handing you Ciroc and you drinking Ciroc and you co-signing. Get the motherfucking check. Get the check. You know what I'm saying? The homie love is good, but the homie love, that's what I'm saying when I'm talking about thinking in different directions. If you got an audience of 350,000 people, there's not people watching a cable commercial. Sometimes they got 350,000 people and they're paying for advertising. So if you as my peer, you should, if I'm looking out for you and I'm pouring this and I'm doing that, we got to think creatively also, man, and say, you know what, that's product placement, bro. That's not outside the box. It's new on some other levels. But if you're coming in for an Instagram story and you're not being charged to come in for the Instagram story, you got to charge the motherfucker that can pay. You know what I'm saying? When I sit here and I watch, if I don't have cable or I watch something or I listen to free radio, radio is free to the consumer, to the person that's getting it. But the advertiser pays for it. So we got to also make sure that we get those advertisers, not going after Diddy, but we got to make sure that we get those advertisers that saying, why did Diddy send him, bottles of Ciroc an hour later? Because he knew what the brand was. He knew that there was going to be eyes on that. So that's what I'm talking about. Even if it's free, we got to learn how to charge on the other end. It's a different way that we got to think now.
You don't think a lot of that got to do with what they selling? Because if Tory Lanez said on my Instagram live, come play your songs, and it wasn't popping ass, I don't know if they're going to get that same 350, and I don't know if they're going to bring the Ciroc an hour later because, we Black, they like us to do the cool shit. Not saying that's what he was doing, but people not interested in, things of that nature for the most part. So I think a lot of it has to do with what we sell. We got to choose what we sell. We got to choose what we put, to the forefront so we can help each other out.
It's also about putting yourself in position, because it's like, we know a bunch of Black executives who leverage their positions and put themselves in a position to make real decisions and be decision makers. So like I definitely hear where you're coming from, but at the same time, I've seen people that came from those same places that leveraged their positions along the way to the point where they're able to make those decisions. Because it's only power if you cede the power.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
I
same
feel you,
thing.
but I'm not
like
saying you're wrong. I'm saying we don't gotta leverage each other to make that happen. You feel me? Like, if, like, the truth of the matter is, if it wasn't asked on that Tory Lanez story, then I don't know if they would have been knocking down Cuz' door. That's all I'm saying, and we gotta be realistic about that. I get what you're saying. Of course, it's a gang of Black executives that's gonna help each other out. It's a gang of people that want to be creative and positive and push that shit, but that just ain't necessarily what they looking for. So it's up to us to try to make things that kind of do have some sort of, substance, or kind of can help each other out. Because I get what you're saying. It is people that's out here helping, but they gonna go where the views is at, because the views make the dollars and the views is the bullshit. You know what I mean? It's a bigger conversation. I'm gonna let y'all finish.
Yeah, I think Vince is touching on something important. Like, the thing that I think sometimes even me as like an executive, I'm not like a creative guy. So sometimes even I will overlook these things, but we sit here and say, oh, we got to be creative with how we make money. We have to be creative with how we, position ourselves during these times. But some of these artists, the only way they know how to be creative is by being on stage or by making songs. Like, it's not in their nature to dance on IG Live or, get girls to do this or do that. It's like, it's not embedded in everyone. Tory Lanez is a character. He's been that way since I've known him. I've known him for years. So that 100% fits his personality. But that is not scalable. There's a couple handful of folks. A lot of the acts that I work with are very introverted. I can't even get them to go on live with their friends. You know what I'm saying? So it's really hard to really, I think it's very different and unique for others. I think at this time, some people will use it to be creative in different ways. Some people will use it to work on their craft personally. I think it's really specific to everyone. And it's like, yo, what can I get out of it for me? There will not be a playbook, because honestly, none of us have been here before. So it's just about you doing what feels right to you. And it comes to, the world either goes crazy for it or they don't. And who cares? Because you did it for yourself.
But you got to be the whole thing has always been reinvented too. Like, the wheel is always being reinvented. It's always, before it was this, it was another thing, and before it was that, it was another thing, and it always changes. And I think it's up to each person. Only the strong survive each level you get to, or each time the whole current shifts.
Does anyone still feel is anyone nervous about not being able to reinvent or come out of this? Is anyone concerned with it, or do we feel like we got a panel of people that say, you know what, I've been through situations before, and this is just another one?
I think it's important that the artists don't want to play themselves, because consumers can read through the bullshit and feel like it's something that's not authentic, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's important that, what Anthony was saying, he has certain artists that can do certain things and that won't do certain things. But if he has an artist that doesn't jump on live and all of a sudden they're doing TikToks and trying to do all these dances, that hurts the brand. So how do you monetize and how do you move forward being yourself, even though you got to reinvent yourself at this point?
Miguel, how would you think about that? You know what I'm saying? For somebody that we know, and Janae as well, that's just so soulful, and y'all make great music and great albums. I don't know if anybody doing 2C slides and things of that nature. So what's the, not a game plan, but how do you see yourself making that, you know, that wiggle room for yourselves?
I think I heard something more recently. I don't know if you guys know who Gary Vee is, but I think he's a really smart dude.
Oh yeah.
I follow him, and he's, anyone out there that's watching or, you know, just watching us talk about this stuff, I would highly recommend his just following him and listening to him, because he has some really smart things to say. But one thing he said that I thought was really important and true was that right now is like everybody's like at this campfire. Everybody's just kind of sitting here, just like looking around, like, all right. And there's an opportunity for everyone to tell a story. And I think that's what I've been spending my time figuring out how to do, because that's what my favorite artists, my favorite directors, my favorite painters, my favorite anything, architects, favorite anything, they figured out a way to tell a story. And that's what, as human beings, we appreciate stories. I mean, my most successful moments have come from stories. And I would venture to say that every one of the artists on this panel now, and every one of the artists that will be successful, became in some way a great storyteller. And I think that's the biggest thing that I'm learning in this moment, is that it's just about telling a story, because we want to be connected with each other. So for all the artists that are watching, the creative people who are watching, I would definitely give that some thought, because that's what I've been really figuring out. Okay, how do I, because I'm not the TikTok guy, you know, I'm not, you know, that's not my thing, but maybe there's my way of telling some kind of story that's important to me, that has something to do with where I came from, what I'm trying to build, where I want to go. But I think none of that really is valuable until we as artists and the people who support us on our teams, the people who represent us with larger companies, really make a stand for, and all together we make a stand for the value of music. Because as we've seen, and you know, all the managers in here, all the executives here, y'all know that like music streaming is down. Music streaming is down. And for those of you who are watching who don't know that, music streaming is down. It makes you wonder why. Would music streaming in this circumstance, okay, think about any other moment in history when the world is facing something global or really tense. Let's just say the United States in the late 60s, late 69, 70s, when the Vietnam War was happening. That was a huge moment for music. Huge moment. Never mind the fact that that was like one of the only two ways to really communicate. You know, it was like television wasn't a big thing, music was a big thing, and radio was. But all of it aside, in terms of connecting, music was a big part of that. Why is that not happening now? Why?
We've kicked that around a lot, Miguel, and like I'd be interested to hear your take on one of the ways that we looked at it. Like, you know, traditionally, throughout the week, you know, Saturday and Sunday are normally the lowest streaming days of the week, Sunday being the lowest. And it feels like, you know, we're in a situation now where every day is a Sunday. And a lot of the, you know, kind of situational moments in which we listen to music, whether it's, you know, riding our commute to work or working out, going to the gym, you know, a lot of things that we haven't, you know, we haven't been able to do. You know, I think that when you look at certain artists that make music that, you know, certain, Bob Marley, you know, his streams are up, you know, different artists that are kind of, you know, spiritual and uplifting. And, you know, I think to your point, just kind of making that soulful music that really touches folks is what's going to, you know, rise to the top right now. But I think the numbers are not, you know, as a distribution company, I'm not scared at the numbers and the streaming numbers and where they are currently. And I think that we'll find our new normal and where, you know, our new routines. And the other thing is like, you know, you're in a house with your entire family. So it's not just you and your playlist now. It's kind of like one person controlling the playlist at all times. So I think it's, you know, it's definitely, there's a couple ways to look at that.
Something that I'm thinking about that I would love the panel's feedback on is like, now that we are going into a month, like near a month of this quarantine, and you know, if this expands to 2 months or 3 months of shelter in place and working from home, I heard from my friend in Beijing this morning. It's evening her time, and people in Beijing are going back to work. And if you know about Beijing, it's hella polluted and really just like a nasty place to live based on the traffic and the like inhumane conditions of how they treat the environment and the labor and the workforce. And so something I'm concerned about is like, as we go back to a normal, I'm grateful for this time where we could see the mountains and the clouds. And, I don't know if you saw that article about India, where in Punjab, you can see the Himalayas for the first time in 30 years. And so, as we prepare to come out of this, I'm excited to figure out like, and, whether you're an artist or a producer or individual, like think about like your own consciousness and your own like interactions and how useful or unuseful they are, and like how we can center ourselves and how we can like rely on the music and the storytelling of brilliant artists like Janae or Jensen or Miguel that tell stories that like how we should fix our community and fix our society. And like I just hope that we don't get right back to where we were, like disgusting and gross and just like wasting our like planet and resources. And I'm not really like the single like, voter on climate change and things like that, but this is like making me realize that, the planet is telling us that we have to act and we have to like use all of our individual resources and condition to make a change in the next 10, 20, 30 years.
And
so
Jensen has a huge opinion around climate and things like that too. So I would love to hear Jensen's POV on it.
Yeah, I mean, something that I was thinking about just with regard to the point about music streaming being down, I think it's, and also related to the idea of climate and like this political moment, is that I think that a lot of the music that is out, like no matter how great it is, feels incongruous with this political moment. And so there's like a disconnect between trying to listen to music as an escape, but also feeling like it just isn't like touching on the issues that we're facing right now. And I feel like because there's so many ways to record music from home, even if we can't get in the studio, like there's going to be a wave of music coming out that's directly responding to this moment. And I'm really excited about like how we're going to use music as a way to like move those conversations forward and to kind of both escape, but also confront the issues that we're facing right now. And I think it would be a mistake to say that like this virus is a positive thing for climate change. One, because it's like an oversimplification, and also because like it's negative that people are getting sick and dying. But I do think that it's a good moment for cultural reset. Like more than anything, like we can definitely, like we've all been talking about, like take this opportunity not only to reflect on like our families, but also take the pause as like a starting point and a head start on making political change, hopefully, and making climate justice change as well.
Well said.
Mm-hmm.
Kailand, Brian, would love for you guys to chime in as well. I don't think we've heard from you guys yet.
Yeah, to piggyback on what Jansen said, I feel like at this time, everybody was just set back to ground zero. And it's crazy to see that like the pollution and the air is going down and you being able to see the Himalayas mountains. So, coming out of it, I definitely feel like us as humans, this is our earth and we have to take care of it. So we definitely need to take the proper steps in order to not go back into the same cycle that we were already in.
Do you feel like there's a disconnect now when we had the so-called, I'm probably older than everybody on this panel, but the We Are the Worlds, the What's Going On, you know what I'm saying? Like it feels as though we don't have that kind of touch with music where we're not feeling where like we're going through something, but music isn't the soundtrack for what's going on. Does it feel like the creativity on some of the stuff, or maybe even with you guys are creating it, but maybe the outlets are to blame, the big boys, the radio stations, you know what I'm saying? But do you feel like there's a disconnect with content and the way that it used to be?
Yeah, I feel like now that with the climate, like what we were talking about before with like war and certain situations like that, like I feel like that brings that kind of content out of people. So for a minute it was just like get money, let's go viral, talk about this and that and the other. But I feel like, you know, now with the, you know, climate that we're in, I feel like a lot more people will, you know, have deeper things to say, especially sitting around and
Right.
being able to think more about, you know, certain situations.
I guarantee
So,
a classic. I guarantee a classic album in all genres are gonna come out of this. Be it rock. Rock has been low. I bet you some come out of rock and roll or jazz. Like you're gonna see some groundbreaking material, classic albums. And I'm saying a body of work, not just a one-off single or something. Is gonna come out of this.
I think it's gonna have to come from a person that's 25 or 27 and older, because this young generation don't care. I know some people right now still in the hood partying, smoking weed off each other.
I mean, I feel like picking back off of what you said, Big Boy, like We Are the World, being so, even though that song came out a while ago, being so personally tied with it, since my dad was one of the writers of the song, I feel like for myself, you know, I could speak for the youth, I feel like out of all of us, like we are the ones that kind of need to carry that message and just spread it to the world.
Joe, I'm betting on young people, man. It's the old people that got us into this shit in the first place. I'm betting on young people to get us out.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it G with you. I'm in the hood every day. Listen, young people don't care about nothing. I'm gonna keep it. They don't care. Like they just want to get back to partying and getting out to the club. They truly don't care. You got some young dudes that don't even care about spending time with their kids. They mad they got to spend time with their kids right now. And I'm just being ultimate 100 with you. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of. We gotta
get you with the right young people too. I'm finding some who I'm betting on, man.
I hope. I'm praying myself, like, for it's like, just for it to be different. I know, like, you know, it's everybody's not a A-list singer or A-list rapper. You know what I mean? So it's gonna be guys that's starting from the bottom. That's, you know, clubs not gonna want to give them what they want no more, or you know what I mean? They're not gonna want to give them what they give the Thugs, the Futures, you know what I mean? It's some guys that's really starting from the bottom that don't have nothing. So the best way they know how to get it is just, you know, doing what they was doing before all this happened. They don't have no change and no outlet. And to keep it real with you, it's not a lot of people who take chance on newcoming artists when you're not popping already.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people
say
take that
something
chance.
really quick as a young person and as an upcoming artist. Like I definitely know a lot of clowns in my generation. I'm 22 and there's like full clownery happening with Gen Z for sure. But I feel like clownery is not generationally specific, and I feel like I'm seeing it a lot with people younger than me, people older than me, people my age. And I also just want to say that like I've been really fortunate that like I think it's pretty apparent that I'm like the least known person on this panel. And I've been really lucky that all of the opportunities I've been getting in the last year or so, like I've been advancing my career in truly magical ways. And all of the people that have taken a chance on me didn't really have a reason to, other than the fact that they believed in my art and the music that I was making. And so I feel like there's a lot more hope to be had than people are currently tapping into. And like, I know that that's a little bit of a naive thing to say, like as a 22-year-old, but I think there's like a lot of positivity, and like in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And I think we're bending backwards right now, both with regard to justice and with regard to climate and with regard to music. But I think we're going to swing back. We're always going to swing back.
Yeah. I think anybody trying to put out a club banger for the summer, that's out. That's not going to happen. Nobody's going to be in the car. Nobody's going to be in the club. That's out.
Fuzzy, yo, hold on. You bring up something incredibly important, and it's the thing that worries me a lot, and this is specific to hip-hop. Like, yo, like how are records gonna break? How are you gonna feel it? Like when you riding around with your friends, when you're at a spot, you see the whole room activating to, like when you feel a hit, when that shit is just in you, when you smell it, when you taste it, like everything about it. Like that part of it is like gone for a while. And I just like that shit. I hate that shit.
Yeah, man.
The thing that I hate the most is like, I can't just go to the club on a Friday night and just like listen to what's going on in there. I can't go to like Magic City Mondays and just hear like what's the newest shit popping in Atlanta or like any of that. Like that part of it, man, it's going to affect us way more than we think, even from a business perspective.
That's up to y'all though. I'm gonna keep it G with you. that's going back what I said, taking a chance on some of these new kids. It's a lot of kids that's out here spitting a message, but they don't get the shot. They don't get the same shot because they so worried about going straight to radio. They so worried about getting the dollars. You know what I mean? It takes them 5 to 6 years longer does it take a artist that spin club music and stuff like that. So it's gonna take some of the great managers that go look for some of these kids that spitting an important message. You know what I mean?
Talk to that nigga Jomo.
But you gotta think about, like, even when D-Nice was doing his sets, it was the old school feel-good music that had vibe, it had everything. But as soon as he went to a Khaled record, no diss, people start tapering off. You feel me? Like, I saw that firsthand, but I think it's gonna be some feel-good music. It ain't gonna be club bangers. It's gonna be some soulful something. I don't know, like.
Well, let's sign some, Fuzzy. I'm with you. Let's go find some.
Yeah, easy call.
Yeah, let's go find. It's a lot of talent in the city, but those type of artists get over sheltered by the clubs. You know what I mean? Yeah. They do. They get over sheltered by the clubs and by the radio. You know what I mean? It takes them a lot longer to get to where they need to be as of right now. I know about 15 artists that's spitting like Kendrick, no cap, in the city, but they don't get the right shots because they so overshadowed by having a Joe Moses record or a YG record or a DJ Mustard record or something like that, or a Ty Dolla $ign record. You know what I mean? So I hope this could bring out some of the artists that, you know what I mean? And it takes positive managers, A&Rs to go find those type of artists.
I would love to hear Janae's view on this because she's always been an artist that moved at her own pace, grew her brand organically, and watch her star power and artistry just grow, you know, year by year, and just releasing a huge project. Like, I would love to hear your process on that creatively and how you to muscle through that goal, and, you know, just in my opinion, you know, set trends for other artists to follow.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I make that type of music that is really meant to be listened to in your home when you're cleaning, when you're by yourself, sort of like thinking music, or that's what I think I make. So for me, it's just like more of the same. You know, I've had a lot more time to sit with myself and really figure out my purpose in making music. And I think my purpose in making music is to help people get through things and help them when they are alone by themselves, you know, thinking and going through whatever they're going through. And I think this situation really is going to make people think about, like, why do they listen to music, or why are they looking to escape and go to the club or go to the strip club, or, you know, turn on something real loud and just forget about what they're thinking about. I think music and sound, period, is such a powerful tool, and it could be used for much greater than just to be escape, you know, it could be used for a lot more than what we use it for. And I think people are going to start to realize that when they are, you know, they can't go to the club. It's like, I personally don't even listen to music in my house. Like, I'm either creating it or I'm a big fan of like pure silence. So yeah, I mean, but I honestly feel like with this time, I have so many other things that I want to do besides music. You know, I write poetry. I love cats. I'm like gonna pick up a litter of cats to foster. I've been thinking about, if they really are short staffed at hospitals, like can civilians go and volunteer? It's just making me think of my position in the world. Like, for me, I hope it encourages more people to actually want to do things outside of entertainment, because we need more doctors, scientists. You know what I'm saying? We need more than just rappers and singers. And I hope that a lot of young people right now who see that maybe it is harder to get into music, and maybe since, you know, it's so oversaturated, I just hope that it encourages them to search within themselves for their other talents, you know, because that's something that I've been doing. Like, okay, well, if I can't do this tour, then I need to complete my poetry book because that's something that people can get, you know, during this time. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but.
Yeah. I think that we also seen the, I think my mind is a little tricky, but hopefully it's not too bad. But I think that we've seen where we're kind of, Janae, we're redefining what was cool as well. You know what I'm saying? I think that when we see what's going on now with, you know, the frontline workers and the essential workers, and, you know, those are the ones that I feel like we're bigging up even more so than insert any artist name right now. So I think that we're going to go back to seeing where we just don't idolize the artists. We don't idolize the, you know, the ball player or whatever it is. I think we're going to start to continue to idolize even more so the so-called regular people, the heroes that don't wear capes, you know. So I do see us starting to speak more about, you know, the doctors, the postal workers, the people that work at the docks. So I think that hopefully we'll start to see people that see that those jobs are, and that lifestyle is once again cool. When we used to see people that wanted to be teachers, you know what I'm saying? Teachers are fucking amazing. You know, it's not about what kind of paper they have, what they're doing. It's about something in them that's given back, and it's not about their annual. So I'm seeing where we're starting to make those people, we're starting to recognize them as the heroes that they are and that they have been. But I think that now it's put us in a position to applaud even louder for those people. So I think, Janae, I think we're starting to see that.
Yeah, it's different seasons.
And it's interesting because during this time, it really makes you see the true value of money, because you don't need to go buy the Louis jacket for this award show. You don't need to go get the latest bag, because people get those things to show off to other people, and no one's going anywhere to show off their things. And so it's really like everyone has their position, you know, like you said, the workers, the delivery people, like all of these people who have these work, you know, these jobs that, like you said, are considered not cool. It's like right now they're really keeping the world running, and, you know, they're still getting their paycheck to get their essentials. And I think that's really important to understand, is that a lot of us who are in music and entertainment, we live in excess. You know what I mean? We have things that we really don't truly need. And I don't know, I think that for me personally, I've been sitting thinking about that, you know, like I don't really need to go shopping every weekend. I don't really need to eat out every day. And just reeling it back in, and it just feels so much more like I'm getting back to my true self, because as you all know, it's easy to get mixed up into wanting to wear the latest, you know, whatever, and have the nicest car or whatever. But when you're just sitting, chilling at home with yourself, with your kid, with your family, it's like they don't care about none of that. What's most important is, are we eating good? Are we, you know, do we have a roof over our head? Is everybody healthy? Okay, cool. And you don't need a lot of money to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's an eye-opener, and I'm taking the time. I appreciate the time. I was actually getting a lot of anxiety right before I announced my tour, because I didn't know how I was going to spend time with my kid. I didn't know, you know, there were so many other things I was working on. So I almost like prayed for like something to happen, and almost I was like, oh, did I manifest this? Like, I don't want to think I have that much power, but it was almost like, wow, okay. Because I like to take like 3 or 4 months of downtime, like in between really busy when it gets really busy. And so it kind of just felt like the world really did stop. And so I'm like, ooh, let me be careful with my manifesting, because I think that sometimes I can put things out there. But yeah.
I got a question for YG. YG, how do you feel like this affects you on the street level on releasing music this going forward?
Huh?
I was asking you. I want to hear why. I want to hear your perspective on you touching the streets on the release and like what kind of music. You know, how are you gonna handle this?
I mean, I got some music coming out. You know, like it's basically like talking about like laugh now, cry later type shit. You know, like we going through what we going through and it's fucked up, but it's like, you know, we still gotta live and we still gotta make it to tomorrow. So it's like, fuck it, we gotta figure out a way to enjoy ourselves. And that's basically what everybody doing, like the TikTok. You feel me? I look at all that shit like, you feel me? I look at it, you feel me, that shit, even though I'm not one of the motherfuckers that be doing that shit, but I look at that shit like, you know, that's like, me being a black person is like, some shit like this is like, okay, niggas be going through fucked up shit all the time and we gotta figure out how to make it out. So it's like, when I see people doing all that on TikTok, being funny, you feel me, it's like, okay, you feel me, that's them figuring out a way to make it to tomorrow without really overstressing, because it's fucked up, right? You know, and if you think about it all day, it's gonna make you depressed and stressed out. But as far as the music, you feel me, I'm about to come with some shit like about right now, you know.
It's shifting your topic of what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I be talking about, like, you feel me, I came with the fuck Trump shit when I came with the fuck Trump shit, but when we came with it because that was a part of the conversation, you feel me, that was going on.
Yeah.
Like me and Nip had a combo and we was like, niggas probably scared to really like say how niggas really feel. And niggas like, fuck that nigga. So it's like, yeah, let's make the song, fuck it. So we made the song. So you feel me? I was talking to my people like a week ago about making some shit about right now, you know, for like the people though. And yeah, me and Mus are trying to figure it out right now. So you feel me? The song, the reference that I told bro was the y'all remember that record with, I think it was Jadakiss and Wycliffe, or it was Anthony Hamilton. It's called Why.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? It's like making like shit like that, you know, that's really talking about the times right now and like the conspiracy theories that I believe in, you know? So you feel me? That's what I'm on. And then at the same time, niggas, we at the house, we people, we humans, we at the house. It's sad, it's fucked up. But at the same time, you still want to have music, you feel me, you can party to, because you're not about to be sitting down all day sad. It's going to be moments. It's Friday. We going to cook. We going to turn the music up. We going to party. We going to drink. Because the alcohol sales is going out, you feel me, they skyrocketing. You know what I'm saying? So that means people still trying to enjoy themselves. So it's like, you just can't say like, oh, no, don't do no more turned up party music. Like, no, we need that. You feel me? I feel like everything is still needed, you know? It's just how you present it. You feel me? It's the timing of it and how you present it. But
it's the timing of it. You're right.
Yeah, you feel me? It's the timing of it.
I think we need YG to be YG too. Like you and Nip led us with fuck Donald Trump when nobody else was doing that. The same way you was taking us to the club, you was putting us in the lows. You know that I think that's what life is. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we need, if something come out of this about even a 5G tower from YG, you speaking to an audience that wouldn't have went and did that research. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to pop off about that for sure. Cause that's my thing. It's like, all right, like everything is going on and we got to figure it out. And the sales is fucked up and music gonna be different. Like everybody's life gonna be different, right? But my thing is like it's really some other shit going on that people really don't want to talk about or they trying to ignore. It's like, you know, it's a certain group of people that run the world, you know what I'm saying, that been plotting on this shit. And you feel me, they putting us through this shit for whatever reasons. You feel me, they say it's to advance the world, you know? But it's like, we don't got no safe toe out here, this motherfucker. And y'all put motherfuckers' lives at risk. Y'all doing all type of crazy shit. And like, ain't nobody, like, don't nobody really want to talk about that. You feel me? They just want to talk about, oh, the coronavirus. It's like, bro, y'all really think it's just the coronavirus, bro? Like, you feel me? Like, nah, it's something bigger than that. So my thing is like putting people on like really what's going on. And don't be fooled out here thinking it's fuck coronavirus, stay in the house, wear a mask. Like, nah, I'm not believing that. So what I'm gonna do I'm gonna make my music and I'm gonna talk about the shit, you feel me, that I feel like need to be said to like wake some motherfuckers up.
The reason I asked YG that question, because I feel like, and I'm going on some West Coast history, like West Coast music is always done like NWA, fuck the police. That was something that was going on at the time. And you forget that To America's Most Wanted with Tupac and Snoop, they wrote that while they was watching the Million Man March. So I think these records, we're gonna have these records come out from our coast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you already, bro. When the you feel me, when the fucking riots was going on, you know, Ice Cube was making this album about that. Like NWA, all of you feel me, they was talking about that. So it's like, you feel me, that's how I'm come. You know, and I feel like it's a lot of, you feel me, you got artists like J. Cole's, like Janae, you got the artists like you feel me, it's a lot of artists that always talk about the real shit. And I feel like, you feel me, there's gonna be a time from them to step up and like basically like, yeah, like start the combo, start to like inspire motherfuckers to really take it there.
Yeah,
You know?
I think it's important too to not just talk about, because we all know there's fucked up shit going on. I actually sent YG one of those links that he was talking about on a
That's
DM.
spicy shit.
Exactly, we be knowing. But I think that it's time to just start talking about solutions. And like I was saying earlier, sound, you know, in my studies, I've had sound. And we all know this, that sound is the universal language. Music is the universal language. And if we really start using that science in our music, it could be a song about whatever you want it to be, but the actual tones, the notes that you're using, the instruments that you're using it's proven that these tones can heal on a cellular level. So it's like, we can literally heal the world with music and sound. And that takes care of disease, that takes care of whatever's going on in our environment that's affecting us, you know, on the cellular level. And so I think that as musicians, that is something that we have to, you know, we have to really study our craft, which is sound, you know, and really be accountable, you know. I'm making music and people are listening to music for different things. Some people are listening just to party and to escape. Some people are listening to it to, you know, sleep or to study or whatever. But if we go in with that intention, like, okay, I have this platform, I can really, you know, without compromising who we are as an artist, I feel like if we just take that into consideration, that we're actually like piercing people's soul with our music, so we can actually put some medicine in it, you know what I'm saying, that's really helping and not just like complaining, like this is going on, everybody knows a bunch of shit is going on, but I think we have to really start creating the solution, or like how can we actually help, you know. Yeah.
I love that. I just want to be mindful. I know we asked everyone's time from 4 to 5, and we've gone a little over that, so I want to be respectful of everyone. For those of you who ask questions, we're going to post them in the Slack group. Just put any of your remaining questions in the else over there. But first off, I think of just a couple things to end on is just, you know, Los Angeles is a strong, diverse community. We've all facing a unique equalizer that is COVID and just being at home. But if anything, I think this wonderful group of people on this panel encourages me that we have a lot of exciting things to come after this, and we're all together trying to better our community, our world, even through the art and through the art of marketing it all together. But thank you everyone for your time. We really appreciate it. And the audience, if you're interested in following us on Instagram, feel free to do so in the chat right now. For all our panelists, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate each and every single one of you.
Get my merch.
Like what you want now.
I'm marketing. You know, I'm trying to feed my kids.
Let's build. We had a great conversation, man. Let's hold each other accountable too. I thank y'all.
Troy, hit me up.
Thank everybody.
Troy, hit me up.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna hit you.
Respect. Young gangster.
Say your number right now so I can
Exactly.
text you.
J Erving.
Miguel.
That's good.
Joe Moses.
Joe Moses.
Miguel.
Come here, Janae. I see you.
Hey, Janae. what's the
Miguel,
number? Tell
let's
us
get it.
right
It's
now.
CB.
Yo, Janae, Miguel, and Brian are like the last 3 people I saw because we all did Ellen right before all this shit happened.
That's
Yeah.
big.
So it's your fault.
All right, y'all.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you,
Hey, God
everyone.
bless y'all, man. Thank y'all for y'all time.
Bye.
Man. I enjoyed y'all.
Stay inside.